I am doing great. I am so honored to have our next guest, who is an amazing rock star who completely changed her focus, her direction in life to working for one of the major top five banks and a little bit of a health scare. We can all attest to that kind of weirdness going on.
Yeah.
But last year changed what she's doing on to focus on her path, her goals, her dreams, started her own digital marketing agency, and is kicking butt and taking names. And so we're honored to have Josephine Marcellin join us here on International Podcast Day, not just National Podcast Day. So Josephine, thanks for being a part of this.
Scott, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of it. I've been sort of listening into some of the conversations whenever I got a break. And wow, you've got some great guests on here. I'm honored to be part of this group. And I thank you very much for even thinking of me. So thank you so much. So as Scott says, I'm actually excited to be part of this International Social Media Day because I'm from Canada. So I'm part of the North. And I think you'd had a couple of other Canadians on as well, right?
We had Lindsay Phillips on.
That's correct.
Earlier on, yeah. But we had an individual from India. We started off the morning with a lady from Milan, Italy.
Wow.
Barbados. We had a little bitty concert a cappella from Our Lady in Barbados, who's a marketing agency down there. So yeah, it's been awesome. Quite the international flair, which I love.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So as Scott mentioned, I actually made a transition from corporate Canada to the online marketing world. And it was primarily because for over 30 years, I was working in corporate Canada, working with large IT transformation projects. And the last program I ran basically killed me, almost killed me, right? It ran for about 6 years and it was a global project. And essentially, I ended up just completely burning out. And that gave me an opportunity for me to think about whether I wanted to continue on that path or whether there was something else calling me. And I think after 30 years, it's like, okay, I had enough of this game. I want to just follow my own path. And I fell in love with the internet and I fell in love with social media. And I've just basically dedicated myself to taking my business skills and helping entrepreneurs and small businesses to, basically go through, maneuver through this huge, what they may look at as being a very complex animal, but understand that social media and digital marketing is the way of the future. And if you're a brick and mortar store or local business and you haven't really grasped how to utilize digital marketing and how especially to use the power of social media, then you're going to be left behind. So my mission is really to help at least 1,000 businesses in the next year to migrate online and to be able to leverage social media. So thank you, Scott, for helping me get my message out there.
Hey,
I noticed that some of the speakers had slides prepared, but unfortunately I don't. But what I can what I can do is sort of just give you my view of how I look at, because I look at things very simply. That's one of the things I try to do, because I always try to make sure that I put things in layman's terms. And so I just want to give you my view on social media. And then, Scott, if you want to then, fire away and we have back. All right. Awesome.
I'm glad. I want to get a chance to know you more. So yeah, back and forth. Give us your opinion and roll with it. We'll go from there for sure, Josephine.
Okay. Fantastic. So when I looked at social media, coming from a corporate background, I mean, one of the most important things you need to learn to do effectively in corporate America, corporate Canada, any type of large corporation is how to network and how to find influencers. And essentially, that's the way that I look at social media. We know that we have to have an online presence, but social media is just like a big networking opportunity for me, an opportunity for me to connect with people that I can speak to, that I can engage with, that I can have fun with, the people that I like to hang out with, like Scott, right? Gives me an opportunity to actually connect with people and build relationships over time. So when I looked at social media, I looked at it specifically as a huge networking opportunity. And so I want to give you the tips that I think, because I know there's a lot of information that has been shared to date about tactics, about basically the tools that you can use. But I want to look at it more from a strategic standpoint. How should you really look at social media holistically? And I look at it, like I said, like a huge networking opportunity. I believe that with all these platforms, if you really want to build your brand and build your company's brand, you really want to have an impact, you need to be, first of all, omnipresent, which means that you have to understand each platform and you have to be present on all of them. And that may look like a huge feat, but I'm sure some of the speakers shared with you the way that you can easily take information or content that you build on one platform and then spread it across the others. So there are tools available to help you become omnipresent. But the fact is that if you just think about one platform and think of that one platform exclusively, because I know some of my clients think, okay, I'm going to just focus on LinkedIn, or I'm going to focus on Facebook, or I'm going to focus on Instagram. For me, that's like having a three-legged stool missing a leg, right? You're going to be unbalanced. And so somewhere along the line, you're going to be missing opportunities that you could have and leverage quite easily. So first of all, you want to become omnipresent. The second thing is, when you walk into a networking event, the first thing people notice is how you look, how you carry yourself, and what level of confidence you've got. And it's the same online, I believe. So the way that you look is really what contributes to your brand image. And so if you look at all the social media platforms, the first thing that people see is your profile. So how attractive is your profile? And you have to think of all the cover banners that are available on each platform. That's really your billboard. That's an opportunity for you to connect with people right off the bat so they can see whether or not you've got an attractive personality. Does your personality shine through? So one of the things that I speak to clients about is, do not discount the impact that your profile picture and your banner has, because that's the first thing. And it doesn't matter, because most of those images are publicly viewed. So it doesn't matter if you've got most of your content set to only friends, but that publicly visible imagery is going to really let people know whether they actually want to know more about you. So it has to be attractive. Second thing is when you walk in, so now you've created a good impression, 5 seconds, people see, and they say, I want to know who this person is. Well, the next thing is, how do you connect with, well, what comes out of your mouth is very, very important. So we talked about content, and content is really sharing how you can help the other people. I know that one of the things that when I was in corporate and I was doing these networking events, one of the things that I noticed was people came into those events with an agenda, a preset agenda. And it's all about what I could get. And for me, I was always, who can I meet? I'm interested in who you are. What do you like? What's interesting to you? And I want to get involved in the conversation, because it's not about me. It's really about, is this the right fit? And so the content itself has to be a match to the individual's desires, wants, needs, questions, challenges. Really, it needs to address that. And how do you know what content to put out if you don't have a good feel for who is that ideal individual that you want to connect with? See, I like having fun with people that are pretty much like me, people that like to laugh, people that like to have adventures. I heard you talking about some tequila, did you say? But I like having fun. So I want people that like to have fun as well as understand that when the chips are down, you got to do the work, right? So I want people that are progressive, that are ambitious, people that love what they do, or if they don't love what they do, that they're willing to put in the time and the work and the effort to be able to reach that. And I am so happy to be able to say, hey, come on, I walked this path, I made these mistakes, let me show you. But I need to make sure that I am engaging the right people. So what you say is very important. So for me, what you say is not just the content in your page. And I know tons of about the speakers most probably talked about the different types of content, the format of the content, etc. But I want you to also pay attention to the little things like the introduction, your bio, the images that you use, the fact that you should be using a lot of video, because people love video. Video gives you a chance. I mean, you could have gone to my page and just saw my picture and you wouldn't have known how much fun I was. right? But now you have a chance to engage with me. You now have a chance to talk to me, right? Or listen to what I have to say. So then you would get a feel for, is this somebody I really want to spend some more time with? And then the last thing is, after you've engaged someone, find out what it is that, who they are, what they like and what they don't like. You might find that there is this match. These two things that are aligned, and now you can pursue that option. You can actually provide some more information, because I'm fortunate, because I'm very much a curious individual. I have a wide base of interest. So I find that I go into a conversation and I can talk about fitness, health, science, technology. The only thing I don't really talk too much about is politics and religion, right? But exactly. But I really think that the opportunity for you to engage with something that people really are passionate about is really, really important. So once you find that there's a match in terms of what you love and what that person loves, and then you can connect, that's so very important, because now you're not connecting with your head, you're connecting with your heart, and much deeper relationships are built that way. And it's the same thing online as it is offline. Now, once you've connected and you've exchanged phone numbers, right? That individual, how are you going to follow up with them? It's the same thing. I think it was it Tom or Kurt that was just before me? I can't remember which. I think Tom was talking about you should be interested in others, which is what I just spoke. And Kurt was talking about the content, right? But the thing is that how do you follow up? How do you follow up with these people, right? And following up simply means, like, I think, I can't remember who it was. It may have been Lindsay that said Facebook Messenger. Drop a Facebook Messenger, say, hi, I noticed that you liked my video. I noticed that you liked my content. Is there anything that I can possibly help you with? What about it did you like? Like, start the conversation. Even in the content, you can actually have this interaction going. But following up is so very important, because people love to know that, you recognize them, you acknowledge them. That, they always said people love to hear their own name. Everyone loves to hear their own name. Well, on social media, there's so much stuff that for you to stand out and be able to be remembered, right? You need to be able to remember their name. You need to be able to connect with them. And the best way I found to do that is to respond to people who respond to my posts, respond to people. If I find that, yes, there's something that I have or something that I provide that would be of interest to them, then I can get them to exchange their contact information. And now I have the ability for me to connect with them, not just through Facebook, but over email nurturing, okay? So for me, those are the 4 key things with social media, because from social media, and I keep saying this, even on some of the episodes on my podcast, social media is not meant as a sales platform. And I think there's a mistake that's made by so many small entrepreneurs. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. After a while, it's like people just tune you out. But if you are truly interested in other people and you truly try to make that really authentic connection, it may take a little bit longer, but you will definitely build a tribe, a following, a fan base, where you can essentially help those individuals who can utilize your services. You provide an environment where they're willing to listen to you, because now they know, like, and trust you. And that's it, Scott.
I love it. Oh yeah, but I agree. Everything you said out there is, it's much better to build a relationship, because it's always easier to keep an existing contact or a client versus trying to go out and have to find new ones and new ones and new ones. So you don't want to burn out your list, burn out your connections. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to him or her because they're always pitching something versus actually sharing something of value, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I think coming from a banking background as well, and working with so many small businesses before I became an entrepreneur.
Oh.
And my parents were entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurs get so good at doing their stuff day in, day out.
Yes.
They don't understand the aspect of the marketing, their skills in a different way versus that whole kind of that one-on-one conversation. They don't teach it a lot of times anymore, right? And we've got kind of this, I don't want to say this age gap, but it really is. There's kind of a gap between the younger audiences that understand social media and then maybe the 35 or 45-year-old entrepreneurs out there that are business owners. They're like, I need to see an instant impact, because otherwise I feel like I'm throwing money away, right?
Right. And the funny thing is if you look at all the, I would say, I don't want to say old marketers, but all the individuals that have been around for a while, they absolutely say, you know what? It's a long tail game. It's a long game. It's not an instantaneous game, right? It's a process where when you build relationships with someone, you're building them for life. That's my approach. If I connect with you and I build something, and I think when most people interact with me, they know that there's two words that I use all the time. It's authenticity and integrity. Those are the two things that I live my life by. And I truly believe that people need to know me for who I am, and not everybody will like me, right? That's a given. Not everybody will like you.
Their loss.
But here's the thing. I can only be me. And if I try to be anybody else, then I'm actually doing myself a disservice, and I'm doing you a disservice, because then I cannot authentically deliver what you need, because I'm always hiding behind this mask, and it takes so much energy to be somebody else. Why not just spend the time just being yourself, not having to waste that energy, and focus on what you can actually do to help the individual across from you? Because all of us have experiences, all of us have certain tools and resources that if we actually worked on saying, hey, you know what, you've got a problem. I had that problem too, and I can help you. But let's talk, because I want to be sure that my whatever I think I can help you with is actually true. So let's talk. And then as they talk with you, now you're starting to get a better understanding. So you may say, you know what, I thought this would be the right thing, but no, it's not. And many times I've actually, when I've engaged with clients, if I can't help them, if they're at a stage where I cannot help them, I will refer them to someone else, which is another reason why, for me, social media is cool, because I get a chance to connect with people like yourself, Scott, and with all the other great speakers on here, because all of us have our different skills. But through collaboration, we can form a pretty deep resource base for the people that need it. So if I can't help someone, I'm going to say, hey, go see Scott. I don't know anything about notes. He does.
Well, but that's such a critical aspect of it. I think me and Chris are talking about different joint ventures and identifying opportunities early on, and sharing your strengths and other passions so that you can identify with people on a different basis. And you don't get that by just a post, a one-way post. It's literally truly interacting. If there's an article, and here's one of the things that a lot of people do, they'll share an article, oh, I like this on USA Today, or I saw this on Fox News, or they share it, but they don't go into discussing why it was so valuable, why they're sharing it, right?
Exactly. And yeah, it's, again, people want to hear from you. They want to hear your opinion. And you're absolutely right. In fact, what I do, apart from running the digital marketing agency where we do the done for you systems, I also run a training program where I teach entrepreneurs how to leverage social media the right way, right? How not to go out there and flaunt their stuff, but how to understand this is the long game and work it so that they can benefit, not just today, tomorrow, but for years to come. And that was one of the things that I mentioned, was a lot of times when I look on, because we do a social media audit, when I look on their profiles, it's like, I'm sharing this, but what's the context behind it? Mm-hmm. Like, why is it important for me it might be important to you, but I'd have no idea why you thought it was important to me. Because again, it has nothing to do with you. You may have thought it was interesting. It has to do with me. Like, right? Everyone's playing in their head, what's in it for me? WIIFM, right? So what's in it for me? Like, why should I be interested? So yeah, I absolutely, truly concur with that, Scott. Absolutely.
Now, one of the things that I love about what you just said is there is a done for you aspect of things, or hey, we'll teach you how to do it. What would you say is the number one misconception when people are trying to do it for themselves? Is they don't have the time, or they think they'll learn it all themselves when they should just kind of write a check and advise somebody? What do you think? Huh?
But everyone thinks that, I can just go on YouTube and I can go on the internet and I can get all this stuff. But here's the thing. One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned is that if you, and I think it was Tony Robbins that spoke about this, where he said that you basically what was the word he used again? You model someone else. So for me, I believe that the smart move for any entrepreneur is to model success. And there are people that have actually gone through the ringer already. When you go on the internet, you get the surface level of stuff. When you purchase courses, you actually don't have someone to say, hey, you know what? This might apply to 90% of the cases, but in your specific case, you need to tweak it that way. I truly believe that you need to have mentors. You have to leverage previous successes, because these people have knowledge that you don't have. Try and go it alone is a tough thing to do. And in the end, I think it'll cost more money and cost you a whole lot more, rather than say, sort of hitching your caboose to somebody else's train and saying, okay, show me. So, wow, wait a minute, I'm at a crossroads here. Which way do I go? Do I go this way or this way? Where are the minefields? Because that person got blown up quite a few times before, and they can show you the path. So I'm a firm believer. I think the best option is to make sure that whatever area you want to pursue, or especially, it could be whatever area of business, find someone who's been successful and connect with them. And it's the same thing. I mean, when I was in corporate, what we did was with new hires, we actually put them in a buddy system where we put them together with a senior person that had been through the ranks that they were going through. So that person could mentor them, and they could check in with them and say, hey, you know what? This is what I've done. What do you do? And I've mentored quite a few people myself. So I know the value where if they didn't have that mentorship, they could actually make some pretty damaging career decisions. Basically not understanding, right?
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and you can do stupid things online too. A lot of stupid things, a lot of stupid comments. Avoid the religion and the politics thing would be one good thing not to be doing, right? Or
Sure.
To be avoiding it these days. But you said, I think the most successful people in our field, in any field out there, are often the most giving of content or sharing. Hey, do this. Here's who I used as a vendor. Here's what I did or what I didn't do. And I think a lot of people, and I've seen this in marketing, I've seen this in podcasting, where people, I'll give you an example. I was speaking on somebody else's event, and I'm trying to help invigorate that stuff, giving, hey, here's what you should do. And people like, oh no, I've got it. Well, then like an hour before, they didn't have it. You know what I mean? That drives me bonkers, because a lot of times people are so kind of, well, I need to look like I know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm the big, like, look, admit you don't know. Half the reason I bring on a lot of people on in social media or podcasts, there's things that I want to learn to hone my craft. And I'll be the first one. Like, I have no clue how to edit a podcast. I do know how to market. So that's why I make the phone call. And that's the thing that I know you're getting at, and you agree with this too. It's like, literally, hey, work what you do, but outsource the stuff that's below your pay grade.
That is absolutely
you don't know, right?
That's correct. Because I mean, the thing is that we're business people, and you didn't get into business for you to do it. Most people get into business and they treat it like a hobby, and they try and do everything themselves. And then that's the first state where, when they get to the end, like a year or 2 years later, they're all frustrated. They're overwhelmed. There's stuff falling through the cracks, because they try to do it all themselves. And it's very impossible, especially if you're doing good service, it's very impossible for you to be able to grow effectively. So I'm a big believer in, right off the bat, and I guess it's because of my, spending so many years in corporate, I actually think that when I set up my business, I plotted out a total hierarchy chart, because I figured out, okay, I needed these roles filled in, and initially it might be me in all of those roles. And then I started strategically deciding which of the roles that I'm going to outsource. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? One of the things that I will never give up is the fact that I'm the face of the company. So I am going to definitely be always in front with sales and marketing. But there's fulfillment. There's a lot of things that can be outsourced. And you know what? Like you said, below your pay grade. Why would you spend time on a $5 an hour task when you could be utilizing that time to get a client that'll pay you $100,000? Doesn't make sense to me. So that's again a mindset change that most people have to have, is that no, you're not saving money. You're actually creating a an opportunity void. Like, I mean, you basically are killing yourself in the long run if you don't take the steps to build a true business. And understand, you're only one person. You have only 24 hours. You get 5 team members. That's 5 times 24. Think about how much they can do. And there's so, I mean, with the opportunity to outsource overseas, it's so inexpensive now. You can get some really good, talented people that can do some good work for you, or with you, because I like to think of it as with you, that you could actually add value. And if they're very good and they're thinking like they can think, they may be actually able to do this stuff much better than you could ever do it. So why not do that?
Mm-hmm. What's the biggest mistake you would say that you see in outsourcing people that try to hire a VA or a team member that end up failing at it? And I already kind of know the answer, because I think that people have to train things, but where do you see big mistakes take place?
So the first thing, like you said, I think that people hire people, and I don't think they go through the proper onboarding. Okay, so they'll have the initial interview, but then they don't set expectations. And part of setting expectations is setting up standard operating procedures. Basically saying, this is what I expect when you're doing this task. This is what I expect from a delivery perspective and a quality perspective. This is the timelines. So you really want to make sure that you have that conversation right off the bat. Another thing that I think is an expensive way is to actually try to go cheap. And then expect that individual to know exactly what you're thinking, know exactly how to do something. No training, no onboarding, no anything. And people, you know, they can get someone for $10, $15. They will look at hiring that person, even though they'll have to spend a lot of time with that person, whereas they could go and hire somebody for $50, and that person could be, because they've done it so many times before. So it really is a matter of identifying, okay, fine, this is all I can afford from a budgetary dollar perspective, but then from a time perspective, do I have the time to spend with this person? Because it's actually going to cost me in the long run. So it's really a balancing act, right? But the biggest mistake is not onboarding people properly and setting expectations.
Yeah. I love it. We could sit here and talk all day about this stuff. I mean, easy to do, easy to talk to, with a lot of the same opinion. But it's also for those of you guys that are valuable, looking out there. Josephine, can you share a little bit how people can connect with you, to talk about what you're doing, to have you outsource or take over their marketing and done for you aspect of things? What's the best way for people?
Fantastic. So the easiest way to get in contact with me is actually to, if you are, obviously you are on, most people are on Facebook. Just go to my Facebook page, Get Results with Josephine, and DM me. And for those people that do DM me today, well, you know, after this, just let me know that you were on the International Social Media event. And then essentially, no, it's actually Facebook, Get Results with Josephine.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
Facebook, right? Or they can go to josephinemarcellin.com, or they can go to bradleygale.com. But I really think that Facebook, if they just go to the Facebook page, Get Results with Josephine, and DM me, that's the fastest way. But for those individuals who mention that they actually were on here, what we will do is that I'm going to give you a real awesome gift, I think. I'm going to give you a month worth of content. So let me know, and then it won't be content posted to your page, but at least it'll help you out and get you getting that consistent content out there, so people know that you're still alive.
I love it. I love it. Josephine, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us here on Social Media Day 2020. All right.
It was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Josephine. We'll see you later.
Bye. Bye-bye.